International travel has become a lot easier recently, thanks to the decline in COVID cases around the world, including here in Singapore. With the recent regulations, I think that now has actually never been easier to get into the country. So, naturally you might be thinking, maybe I should go try that $2 Michelin hawker stall I've heard about. So if you're thinking about traveling to Singapore, then here are the 3 key things that you need to know for a smooth journey. Alright, so number 1 is you need to be vaccinated to do pretty much anything anywhere in the country. Like, this is not an exaggeration. Examples of things that require proof of vaccination include eating at restaurants, drinking at bars, eating at hawker centers, going to cafes. Any sort of sit-down dining experience, even if it's outdoors, requires proof of vaccination. Also, going to shopping malls or stores or any indoor establishment as well will require proof of vaccination. And I'll get into how this actually works. But the takeaway here is that you need to be vaccinated to do pretty much anything you want to do in Singapore. Okay, number 2, how do you get into the country? Now, this process will vary a bit depending on where exactly you're coming from, but the basic thing you need to know is you need to submit a digital proof of your vaccination before you actually fly into Singapore. The Singapore government has made this really easy. They've created an online tool where you can go upload your digital vaccination certificate, and they will verify it in real time and let you know if it is accepted. So there's basically no guesswork here of trying to figure out if your vaccination record is acceptable or not. Once you do have that proof, you can then book a flight into Singapore. Any flight will do. Previously, you had to book very specific VTL flights, but that is no longer a requirement anymore. So now you can literally book any flight into Singapore, so long as you're properly vaccinated. The only other thing you have to really worry about is getting a COVID test before your flight. This is pretty standard procedure for any international flight, so I'm not going to go into details there. Once you get into Singapore, you don't need to quarantine at all, and you don't need to take any COVID tests on arrival. You can pretty much do anything that a local resident would be able to do. The last point I want to make here is about restrictions you need to know when you're actually in Singapore. The main thing is you need to install this Trace Together app on your phone. It's a contact tracing app developed by the Singapore government. It has your vaccination status, and it can be used as a proof of vaccination whenever you are going out in Singapore. So here's how it works. If you go to any restaurant or any mall or any indoor establishment, generally there will be someone there checking for proof of vaccination. And there's 2 ways that this works. Either you scan a QR code in front of the entrance, which checks you in, it shows a green screen on your phone, and you show that to the enforcement officer that is at the entrance, and they'll let you in. Or in addition, they will have a NFC reader that you tap onto, and then that checks you in. I've also seen at some malls, this is all automated. So if you go to a mall, you might see these electronic gates that you have to pass through in order to enter the mall instead of an actual human being there. You just tap in and then it'll let you in. It's the same procedure, really. Recently, I've actually noticed that hawker centers have stopped doing this as of about a week ago. So if you're trying to go to a hawker center, then you might not need to do this. I'm actually really impressed by this Trace Together app and how pretty much everywhere I go in Singapore, there's either someone checking for my vaccination status, or there is a NFC scanner or QR code at the entrance of any store that I go to. And it's literally everywhere across the country. And there's just so much labor involved and so much technology involved in order to make all of this work. And I compare this to back home in America, where I literally just had to show a screenshot of the vaccination record if anyone asked for it, and that was it, right? And this wouldn't really happen in a lot of places either. It would happen in restaurants sometimes, and depending on what city you live in, like, people are more strict about it. Other things that you'll notice when you're going around Singapore is a lot of places have restricted seating, so maybe half of the tables or chairs are blocked off due to COVID protocols. When you're indoors, you need to wear a mask at all times, including in public transit situations like riding the MRT. Outdoors, you do not need to wear a mask at all. This is actually a recent change that the Singapore government has made. Honestly, most of the time, I still do wear my mask. It's force of habit, as well as it's a little inconvenient trying to take on and off your mask all the time when you're going into the MRT or the bus. Actually, I've noticed that when I walk around, a lot of the other people that I see outside are also wearing a mask. And so it's really up to you, honestly, if you want to or not, but you don't have to. So, is it worth traveling to Singapore right now? In my mind, the answer is a definite yes. You don't need to take a long 17-hour direct flight from your home country to Singapore like I did. You can do a whole Southeast Asia trip, which sounds a lot better in my opinion. And So long as you're vaccinated, you can do pretty much anything you would normally want to do. Now, if you are planning a trip to Singapore and are looking for some fun and exciting things to do, go check out my most recent video about night cycling here for some inspiration. As always, thanks for watching, friends, and I will catch you all in the next video.